Yo, how's it going, guys? It's Richie Unicorn Caller here, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today is a very special day. I've been wanting to make this video for the longest time, but this is basically the updated level 170 life tank slash healer build, the Devourer. I guess is what I would want to call it, because I usually go up against the Devourer whenever I'm trying to help people in the Catacombs team ups, which usually is a rare team up to do. Not a lot of people actually do that quest, and it is a very powerful boss. But yeah, I am actually kind of amazed with this set, because we're actually going to be utilizing gear that you could potentially, get in game without having to pay for a bundle or pay for a pack or something like that. Well, except for the one wand. I think the one wand is from a bundle. But beyond that, though, yeah, I am pretty excited to share with you guys what I have. So, yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it, and let's get on to this interesting build, which is definitely kind of like a nerf to the previous build, because our previous build was kind of focusing a lot on outgoing, which you can probably reach up to like 240, 260 outgoing, as much as you want. I just don't really think you really need that much outgoing in a sense, but if you could get like 200 outgoing or even 100 outgoing, you're gonna pull off some pretty decent heals. It just depends on whatever your preference of, like, I guess build is. Like, if you want to go for outgoing healing, of course you want to go for like outgoing pins and jewels and stuff like that. But yeah, I am just, dude, I'm super excited to check this out, man. All right. Let's go all the way to the hat. We are still keeping it the same with the Eternal Inspired Helm, which you can check out the stats yourself. This time I'm not going to read out whatever the stats are. Actually, I will. 1,044 health, 10% pip chance, 104 critical block, 13 universal resist, 7% life accuracy, and 114 critical for life, 26 life damage, and 15 shadow rating. For the pins, we have a shield pin, which we put in at a 29% outgoing healing, and then for both the sword pins, we put a plus 94 for balance, and then a plus 94 for death. Just wanted to split it up a little bit, since we're going to be using multiple spells potentially. Now, for this hat, you can get in Novus, and you could also get another hat, which is in Wallaroo, and that is the Stalker hat, which I did put in a build, but then I thought back about it. This helmet is good if you need the extra resist. However, the Nightmare Dungeon just is not a fun dungeon, and I don't know, I just really don't like that dungeon. Not to say that the gear is bad or anything like that, but the one thing that you might notice is that this helmet does not include any critical whatsoever. So if you were to put this helmet on and the boots, of course, then you're not going to get any critical at all, which, yeah, is not the best, So if you want to, you can try and get it. I just really don't recommend you try getting it. But again, if you want, you can go for it. It comes with a fire shield, which again is pretty nice. But again, just that big loss of critical made me think that maybe I probably should keep the critical. I think it's worth the loss of like one extra resist. I think you should be fine. But moving right along to the robe, believe it or not, we're not using the spooky carnival robe this time. And like I said in the beginning of this video, this is something that you can do as well if you're a life wizard. I don't know about all the other classes, but a big reminder that this isn't a raid build, and I don't recommend this for PvP. You guys already know the drill here, but this is the Dragoon's Vibrant Armor, which, This one is a very interesting robe to get if you're a life wizard. It's very interesting. So we have the 1,647 health, which is a lot of health. You get 12% pip chance, which is pretty good. And then you get 176 critical block rating. And then you get 17 resistance, universal resistance. You also get 3% life accuracy. And you also get 2% pierce and 15 outgoing with 17 shadow rating. Then you actually get 2 of these cards. Now, this is a very interesting aura, and it's called Renew. Now, the other one is traditionally a 25%, but this one is a plus 30% outgoing for the next 4 rounds, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. And I would say it's definitely a nice, I guess, like free to play type of robe for any life wizards out there. It's just an overall good robe. Honestly, Dragoon gear is all around probably like really good gear. Ever since then, they just kind of like, I don't know, gear it's just kind of been going like, I guess, in a weird position, you know? Highly recommend that. Now, for the design, we have the halo hat for the headpiece, which you can actually get from a daily assignment reward if you're super lucky. And then for the robe, we have the Archangel robe, which is a crown item. However, you can farm Morganth and Chrysalis, which does potentially drop this. I used to farm Morganth all the time to get this. So again, make sure to check that out. Then they added in the whole like level scaling thing where if you're like a high level helping out lower levels and you won't really get loot, you know, it's a whole process. Honestly, I don't even know if you can still get this, but I'm pretty sure you can still get this robe completely for free. But going on for the boots, again, just any novice gear. I just have the Great Inventor's Life boot, but you can use the internal inspired. It honestly doesn't matter. You can use either or. They're both the same exact stats. And for that, it has 1,101 health, 7% pip chance, 177 critical block, 15 universal resist, 5% life accuracy, 90 critical for life, 30 damage for life, 12 shadow rating, and then for the shield pin, of course, we're going to put in the plus 29 outgoing mending pin, which I believe is only for life only. I think other schools also have like outgoing pins. However, I think life wizards are the only wizard that can get up to 29%. Don't quote me on that because I'm pretty sure I've seen like storm wizards have like a 30% pin or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, 29% pin. And then for the I guess power socket, you would put anything you want to get more accuracy or pip conversion with. I just put a myth accuracy in there because we will be using one of our myth spells. And then you also have the another sword pin, in which case I put a myth critical for that as well. And these are some pretty nice boots, I would have to say. Honestly, the Nova's boots and the Nova's hat are pretty good. It comes with a decent amount of resist, decent pip chance, and of course critical, which critical is lovely. We love critical. And I got the boots from Beast Moon. If you guys don't know, I love Beast Moon, or at least used to love it. But you can craft the series Beast Moon boots completely for free. It might take you a little bit, but yeah, you can definitely craft those. Now for the wand, now this is something that you can't, this is something you have to buy. Unfortunately, looks like I did a little clickbait there, but this came from the Arcane build bundle. I'll leave it in the description of where to get all of these gear pieces, but this is a very, and I mean a very interesting wand. Now, sadly, it does not offer any critical, but it does offer you a bunch of other stuff, such as 135 critical block and 245 power pip conversion, or at least pip conversion, +1 power pip chance bonus, and then of course it comes with 2 square sockets. And this is where it gets really interesting. I forgot to mention that substat is that it comes with 13% outgoing, But what really makes this wand really interesting is that it comes with 2 square sockets. Now, previously in our other build video, we did the Emerald Cayman's Scepter, which is a very good alternative wand. As a matter of fact, I would still recommend the Emerald Cayman Scepter, just because that the Arcane Smith Hammer only gives you an increase of about 1. But overall, they are both some pretty solid wands, if you ask me. Both are pretty solid, but if you want to go for like a little bit more tanky build, I highly recommend the Arcane Smith's Hammer. Or if you want to still get criticals and just like, I guess, balance it out a little bit, you can still get the Emerald Cayman's Scepter, which again is completely for free. But you can farm the Gold Skeleton Key Boss to get this, or open up the packs. But again, you can farm the Gold Skeleton Key Boss. And the Arcane Smith's Hammer, I like it. I like it, man. And of course, for the wand, it's the Life Decathlon Hands of Fate. That is another event that you can participate in the game. So again, good luck. I wish you luck on the decathlon. That can be a little bit rough sometimes. But now on to the Athame, which you can get this Athame for free. We're not using the Dark Woman's Dagger because if you guys don't know, for all the OGs out there, this Athame does not drop anymore. This is a very old Athame. It's been out for the game for like several years, and then they did the whole gear audit / like loot drop audit, and then they kind of changed the boss's drops. So unfortunately, the Dark Woman's Dagger you can't get it anymore. Hopefully you have a few, because I know I have a few in my bank, but yeah, it's technically a legacy item. So we're gonna go with the Void's Lively Athame. This one also might be a tough one to get because, of course, in order to get this, you do have to go raiding, and that is also something you can potentially do for free. Raiding, though, I don't know. Raiding has been kind of going a little bit in a wonky spot, at least for me. It might be harder to find guilds that will be committed to the Dragonspire raid, considering that by the time they update the game, they practically ban most of the AoEs, and it's just kind of hard to do the Dragonspire raid. Now, luckily that this Athame actually drops when you're at like the second boss, or you're at the second floor of the bosses, so you don't have to like defeat Nullity or the final raid boss to get this Athame. You just have to I guess progress a little bit farther in the raid itself. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting Athame. I've been rocking it for a while, and it has some pretty interesting stats. So 1002 health and about 232 max mana, 19% power pip chance, and then 108 critical block, and then we also get 17 life damage, and then we also get 11% outgoing. Now this is where it gets really fun. In our previous video, in our build guides, we weren't really putting much into tiers, probably like mana or health jewels, but now they've added in some spell cards that you can actually put in tier sockets, which is pretty insane. So this is what we have for this Athame. So over here we have a Feint, which is actually a balance spell. You can craft this in Wallaroo with 10 Dream Water, or you can just farm the Invading Fleets dungeon or boss battle, whatever you want to call it, a bunch of times. But if you guys don't know what a Feint is, obviously it's plus 70 to the next attack and then a plus 30 on yourself. So again, highly recommend it. There's always some people crying about, oh, you should bring Feint. So now I got Feint. Alright, it's actually a pretty good alternative because you don't really have to train for Feint unless you wanted to give yourself a potent Feint, but this is always a nice little alternative to add onto your deck. And then this is also a pretty must-have for this one. This took me forever to farm, but this is the Sanctuary Jade. Now it's not the plus 35 that they decreased, right? This is the cracked out version. This is a plus 60%, and let me just say, the outgoing gets increased to plus 60%, which is absolutely crazy. Now, I'm not sure if it increases your outgoing or just the outgoing heal. Regardless, though, a plus 60 global, woo, you can pull off some pretty nutty numbers, okay? And of course, an alternative to this would be to get the treasure card. But no, we don't want the treasure card. We want this in our main deck, baby. In the main deck. And you can farm specific bosses to get this jewel, or you can craft it. Again, I will leave it all in the description so you can figure out where to get most of these. But yeah, the Sanctuary Jade is 10 out of 10. I highly recommend it. It's super awesome. And now for the amulet, which is a very interesting amulet. This one is crazy. I don't even know where to start. This amulet is nuts. Okay, we have the Vibrant Archival Ampful, which is the new amulet from the, what was it? The Forgotten Library Gauntlet, whatever it's called. I think it's like Forgotten Library or whatever. You can actually farm that gauntlet for free. All you have to do is, you know, be friends with someone that owns a castle. You go to their castle tours, or, you know, you go to castle tours, you go to their castle, and then you can farm it. At the end of the dungeon, you get 3 reagents, in which you can take those reagents to the crafter. Now, I believe to craft this, you'll need about 20 of those reagents, or you can open up a pack. But like I said, you can get this completely for free if you're farming that dungeon. And I will say that it is a very, and I mean very, interesting amulet to have. It's nice, I will say that. Plus 728 max health, 10% universal resist is hands down for an amulet really good. You're gonna get 98% life pip conversion, 76 critical block, and 98 universal pip conversion, right? And you're probably noticing something about this build, that we're going for a lot of pip conversion, right? And I'll show you the stats once we're done looking at everything. Now over here for the square socket, we got the plus 8%, which you can get in Wallaroo. And then for the card, because this amulet has a triangle socket. Keep that in mind. This thing has a triangle socket. So of course, you know, we had to go a throwback. And we had to bring out the one and only. Wait, how do I choose? There's the spells. We had to go for the 7-pip rebirth. Okay, this thing is cracked. 730 base heal for 450 armor, which is pretty nuts. I don't even know how I disconnected. Thank goodness for Quick Launcher. You have Brace, which is a minus 20% to incoming attack spells for 4 rounds, which is very good. And then you also get a Spirit Blade item card, which is also pretty interesting as well. So all around, this is a pretty fun amulet to have. I highly recommend it. So now when I go over to the ring, which is no brainer, it's the stone of the other side. You guys already know that this ring is a absolute must as any healer. It has the most outgoing potential out of any other ring. Like, this ring is on top. And I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, but the Ring of the Dying Star. No, the Ring of the Dying Star does not have those sockets. It doesn't have those jewel sockets, okay? So, no, the Ring of the Dying Star is not the best ring, okay? Stop, okay? I've been seeing that comment all the time. Be like, Ring of the Dying Star is better. Like, no, it's not. Look at the sockets, okay? But plus 242 max health, you get plus 176 max HP, or not HP, mana, excuse me. 12% power pip chance, a 15 critical block rating, which is kind of low. You don't have to worry about that. But 33% overall outgoing is absolutely busted, man. They used to make gear, like healer gear back in the day was lit. I used to always love healing, and now gear is just like, gear nowadays sucks. And now, again, like I said, they have item cards for tier jewels, but over here we have a balance blade, which can be good for any school. It gives them a plus 25% chance to the next, you know, attack whatever attack they want. So again, make sure to check that out and wallaroo. And then for the circle, we have the plus 8% outgoing healing, which is actually a pretty hard mending opal to get. This is the circle. It's still an 8%, but it's a circle one, and you get this in Novice. It's really rough to get. I will look for who exactly drops this as efficiently as possible. I know Design Duelist drops it. However, I think they kind of did something with the drops, so I will definitely update that. But over here, again, for the square socket, it's just another 8%. If you don't want all this outgoing, you can do a lot more than just put an outgoing. You can put like a health jewel on it if you want. Now, why you would need that much health is all up to you to figure out. But yeah, again, a pretty solid ring if you have it. I'm sure most people do, but again, pretty nice ring. Going over from over here, Mega Rotting Dryad. Oh yeah, where do I even start with this one? Previously, we had the Life Dryad, which you can still use the Life Dryad. It's all up to you on whatever you want to use. This Dryad is pretty unique, though. I really do like the Death Dryad, and I'll show you the spells that it gives all together. Oh my goodness, I have a lot. But anyway, over here it comes with a Legend Shield. It's a minus 75% to the next death and myth, so again, make sure to check that out. And then over here we have the Sacrifice spell card, which we really want. And this is basically to take 250 moon damage to yourself, and you can give anybody 700 health. That's base. That is the base. Okay? Mixed in with our outgoing, and if we get a critical, you're going to be doing a lot of healing. Plus the plus 60 Sanctuary, plus the plus 30 Aura, plus the heal blades. If you want to give yourself a heal blade or anything, man, you're gonna be pulling some really wacky numbers, man. But I really like it, right? And then you also, of course, get Hammer Dryad, which almost dropped my headset. This spell is so underrated. I don't think a lot of people know about this spell, but this right here is so, it is a, dude, I kind of wish that they made it into a real spell, because I would love to like enchant it and stuff, but this spell is just, I don't know what to say. It's broken. It's literally broken. Okay, I don't nerve it. It's literally broken. I've been using it for years. I've been using it since I was literally a kid. That's how long I've been using the spell for. It does a base of 100 healing, plus it removes a damage overtime on all of your friends. Dude, it's like a rebirth, except it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's absolutely crazy. Now we go into the other stuff. Now this spell is a Maycast Unicorn, and this Maycast Unicorn will do 465 health to all of your friends. Now remember, we talked about Maycasts before. Your Maycasts are going to have, basically act like you're casting the spell yourself, minus a critical, of course. So whatever boost you have on the playing field, or whatever boost you have, you know, to yourself, your outgoing is going to go directly to your pet. So it says 465 here, but in combat it's going to do way more than that. It's going to be way more than that. Then we also got Maycast Fairy, which is also pretty interesting. It does a base of 480 healing, and like I said, your outgoing stat is going to go through that Maycast, and you're going to be pulling out some crazy numbers, man. And then over here we have Maycast Pigsy, which is a very good jewel to get, which, man, well, potentially you can't, now that I think about it, no, you can't get this for free, no. I lied again. You can't get Maycast Pigsy for free unless you, like, win a giveaway or something. But, yeah, this is one of those Kroger jewels, which are kind of hard to get nowadays, so though I do highly recommend it. It does come in handy, and of course it comes with a substat. So overall, for the pet, we have Spellproof, which is a plus 10% universal resist, which is really good. Then we got Spell Defy, which is a plus 5% universal resist. And of course, we got the Maycast Fairy, we got the Maycast Unicorn, and then we also have Medic, which is another plus 8% outgoing for us in our build. And then we also have the Healer, which comes as a substat for the Happy Accident and I guess a Lifesaver Jewel for the Pigsy Maycast Jewel. And then over here, of course, we get the Maycast Pigsy. So again, if you don't have Maycast Pigsy, that's fine. You can always make a pet that already has a Healer attached to it. I actually already have a pet that already has like the Healer talent and also has a pip chance like this one. This one is just like straight up like Healer, Medic, Spellproof, Spell Defy, and then a pip chance, and then I have a little Legion shield on it. So you can honestly make whatever pet is going to suit your playstyle. This pet has always worked wonders for me. And not just the Death Dryad, but also the Life Dryad as well. So again, it's all in your own preference. Now for the mount, of course, you know we gotta go for the Mammoth Mini Mount, which you can get for free. It's in Polaris. There is a certain boss that does drop this mount, or you can buy it in the Crown Shop. But again, you can get that for free if you are willing to farm for it. It basically comes with 2% outgoing as a substat, so highly recommend that if you are trying to maximize your outgoing. And then for the deck, this is pretty interesting. For the deck, you can really use whatever you want, but the one triangle socket that we'll be using is very fun. Now this is the Void's Lively cards. You can again get this from doing the Dragonspire raid if you feel free to do so. You honestly, for the deck, you can use whatever you want. I mean, you can even go for outgoing decks that have like a square socket or a circle socket. I actually already have one around here somewhere. Where was it? All the way on page 3, I think. Where was it? Yeah, here it is. This is the Internal Inspirited deck, which it comes with a square socket, and like we said, you can put an outgoing pin if you want on that, or an outgoing jewel. And again, you're maximizing your outgoing. But for this specific build that I'm doing, I decided to kind of just not really go for it because I wanted to put another triangle socket specifically on this deck. But this deck, it comes with 212 max health, 61 critical block, 123 pip conversion. Again, we're going back to the pip conversion, a +1, I guess, starting pip, and then a +64 Arc Mastery rating, which thankfully, thank goodness that they've updated the Arc Mastery rating, or at least in the recent test round for the summer update. So now you're not going to be going up against your teammates, you're actually going to be going up against the enemy and the opponent. That's basically where it's going to matter the most. So thankfully, you will not be butting heads with your teammates. Thank goodness they reworked that. Now for the jewel, this is a very interesting jewel that I highly recommend. We got Life Brandon! Oh my gosh! Which you can also get for free. Life Brandon and Fire Brandon and Death Brandon. They have all kinds of Brandons for each school, and it was actually a Make-A-Wish quest. They used to do these Make-A-Wish quests from time to time, which I really do wish they would bring back from time to time. I just really miss these, man. This was like back in the glory days of Wizard101, and this quest, you know, you go on a quest with Brandon, and you go through Dragonspire, you fight like a boss, and you can get him as a jewel at the end of the quest. And the cool thing about this jewel is that if you want to dequip it, it's unshatterable, meaning that you cannot shatter it. So I'll unsocket it right there, and then if I want to put it back in, I'll put it right back in. Let's see if I don't want him again, and then I'll just unshackle him right there. See? It will never shatter. It's one of those jewels where you get to keep, unless you trash it, which I don't know why you would trash it, because we love Brandon. I love Brandon. Me and my friends used to love, we loved summoning in Brandon, man. He can actually even cast Eternal Leviathan if you give him enough pips, which is, again, it's one of those life spells where I really want that spell, But then again, I kind of like how Brandon casts it. I might do a video just specifically on that spell, but again, 10 out of 10. This is a very nice minion to have. I usually like to have this minion in my deck in case I'm doing something in a team up and it's just me and another person and I need like a little backup healer or just like another player in the game. You have that minion. So again, 10 out of 10. It's just a nice little card to have. Honestly, you don't need to put Brandon in. You can do any other kind of triangle. I just think it was cool. But yeah, we also have another spell, which is the Leprechaun. Now, this is the Spellment version. It clears 2 traps off of yourself and then places a 320 HOT, like a heal overtime, for 5 rounds, which is absolutely busted, right? Especially kind of goes well with that little feint spell that we were talking about for our 1/8. You can get rid of that trap off yourself pretty easily. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Now I have told you about the entire build, or at least the gear pieces and stuff like that. Now I am really excited to show you guys the overall stats of this build, which when I figured this out, or when I just found this out, it made my head explode. I was like, whoa, like this is like symmetrical, right? And yeah, here we go. So over here, we got 19 myth damage, 73 life damage. Again, damage doesn't matter. We're going for a healing build. It doesn't matter. Our overall health is 11,556. Our overall mana is 558. Don't worry about my gold and crowns and training points and all that stuff. I know I'm a broke boy. I know that. And then our resistance is at a whopping 70%. It's definitely a decrease from, I think, a previous build, I think. But this, actually, I don't know. I can't remember. But 70% universal resist is pretty good. That's pretty high if you're asking me. I would have to say 70%, 60%, or even maybe 50% might be decent for you, depending on how high the enemy pierces you. But to me, 70% resistance is pretty good for me. I mean, you can go higher if you feel like you need the extra resist. Of course, talking about that new Nightmare Dungeon, you know, the boots and the hat. But remember, you're going to trade off that critical stat, which again is going to be a little iffy. But for our accuracy, we have 6 myth accuracy. Don't really need any other accuracy besides life, honestly, which is at a whopping 15%. You might be asking yourself that 15% for life might be a little bit too low, but believe it or not, that's actually like perfect on the dot accuracy. Most life spells are usually about like 85 or like 90-ish around that time. They usually never get to like 80%, right? And of course, 15% accuracy is just absolutely perfect. Of course, again, you can go with way more accuracy if you feel you need a little bit more, but for this build, or at least for me, when I've been doing team ups, I just love it. I absolutely love it. And now we get on to even more fun stuff. It gets even more interesting. Our critical rating is 94 myth, 204 life critical, so we'll get a few criticals from here and from time to time. 94 death critical, and then 94 balance critical. And then for our block rating, it's at 852. Which is absolutely insane. Again, you could probably make it higher if you wanted to, but my goodness, I don't know how high you wanted to get, man. Armor piercing for life is 8, and then for the other schools, it's 9 and 6, but we don't really care much about armor piercing, though. And then our incoming healing is at a whopping 0%, and then our outgoing healing is at a whopping 200% on the dot. And it's definitely a decrease from our previous build, because in our previous build we have about like 230 outgoing, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, decided to trade off the 30% outgoing to try, I guess, utilize a lot more, I guess, utility spells, or just kind of use more spell slots, I guess. But overall, though, like I said, 200 plus a critical plus the plus 60 Sanctuary, and plus the 30 Global Aura, you're already back up at like 230, man, right? And again, it's all up to your preference, man. You can heal as much as you want. As long as you don't fizzle, that's all that matters. You definitely can't fizzle. That could go for... It doesn't matter if you're a healer or an attacker. You can't fizzle, man, okay? Fizzling is like... You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Now, over here, our pip conversion is at 957. That's a total pip conversion of about 88%. Now, for other schools, it's about at, like, I guess a 1%, because most of it is at, like, 343. But look at our power pips, and this is when, like, my jaw completely dropped for this build. Because, look, our power pips are at 100% on the dot. In our previous build, I had mentioned how there were always problems with I needed that extra 5% pip chance. And I had to make a pet that had that pip chance. With this build, we don't have to worry about making that pet. We already have the perfect pet because we don't even need the 5% extra now. Like, that, I'm honestly speechless at how perfect that was. Like, if I was to, like, move any piece of my gear, I would lose that 100%. You will always get power pips this way. Now, Shadow Pip rating is at 129, which is, I think, is decent. I don't really know much about the Shadow Pip rating, but if you want more, you can definitely get more. And then our Arc Mastery rating is at a whopping 200%. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are the stats. Now, we're still not done this build. We have to go with the spell cards because, of course, in our previous build, we didn't have the additional Spellements. But this time, we have some new spells, or at least previous spells that have new Spellement paths. So, yeah, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a real doozy, man. Don't look at my deck setup. I usually fill up my deck just to piss off all of the Storm Wizards that like to talk about deck setups and all that stuff. I usually like to stack my deck up to the brim. Like, I could care less. Let's go to Spellements, though. Life Spellements, it's gonna be very interesting because they did change a few things. And first off, let's start off with Pigsy. Of course, if you don't have Pigsy, you can farm Spellements for that, or you could craft it, I think. I think at this point, at least most people should have Pigsy by now, I think. Most people do. But it does have 2 paths, and honestly, we don't really care much about advanced content because, like, I don't care much about... Yeah, I'm done raiding, and I'm done with not getting any school pips in raids. Like, I'm just over raiding and advanced content and challenge mode and blah 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 blah. But the bottom path of Pigsy is pretty interesting. A lot of people wouldn't agree with it. I'll explain it here. So, top path, right? And remember, you can reset your Spellements whenever you want by only using gold pieces, 2,000 gold pieces. So you can definitely kind of like rearrange and readjust to the situation that you're in. Maybe you want to go for some heal overtimes. Maybe you just want to go for burst healing, so you would go for the top. Or maybe you're doing some advanced content, so maybe you want to go to the bottom tier. So, you know, again, it's all up to your preference. But going to the bottom tier of Pigsy, it's pretty interesting. The initial base of it is 125, which again would go to our outgoing, so it might do a little bit more, depending on how much boost you have. And then for the initial heal overtime, you're getting at least 880 overall heal overtime. Now, this is pretty interesting, and they changed this. You actually get 2 heal overtimes that both equally add up to 880. Right, and it can get a little confusing at first, but I like it. You know, I think it's decent. Now, the thing about using the bottom path of Pigsy is that you can only, and I mean you can only put 4 cards in your deck. That is the only drawback, and honestly, you really don't need more than that, because remember, this is a heal overtime, so this is going to be healing your teammates over the course of the rounds, right? And, you know, like I said, you can choose the top path if you want more burst healing. I feel like I don't really need the top path because I always have my pet as like a backup that can, of course, do a burst healing like that. And I also have Maycat's Unicorn, and I also have Rebirth, which is also we're going to talk about soon. I just feel like I have enough burst healing to the point where, like, I can do the bottom path of Pigsy. But again, it's all up to your opinion. Sometimes you might not even want to do heal overtimes because you might be up against a boss that might potentially actually steal those heal overtimes. These are not protected heal overtimes. These are just out in the wild and naked. So maybe you might want to readjust it to your own playstyle. But for me personally, it doesn't really mind. You know, I don't really mind it. And honestly, I don't even like mind maxing it out. Like, I don't think you really have to max out most spellments because, like, the way that you're shredding spellments and resources and of course your precious time, I feel like it's not worth the minimal upgrade, you know. But again, it's all up to your opinion. You can do whatever you want, man. For Spree Swarm, man, I tried the bottom path of Spree Swarm. I was super hyped about it. It's not good. It's just, okay, it is good, but like the one main gripe I have about it is that you cannot enchant it whatsoever. That is my main gripe about it. So obviously the top path is banned from advanced content, but we don't care about advanced content. The bottom path is basically a divide spell, which they tried doing this whole like divide spell reboot, whatever, again. But yeah, it divides the heal up equally. So if you select like 4 players, it will divide that heal up into 4 players, right? I know it sounds super confusing. Now, the interesting part about this is that it actually can clear up to 2 traps on a ally, and it could actually place them up to a 10% or 20%, I guess, incoming healing aura around them, which is pretty neat, I guess, you know. But the thing is, though, I have a lot of enchantments in my deck. Like, I have the Primordial and I have Radical. So when I have Spree Swarm pop up in my hand and I can't enchant it, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just delete the game. You know, like, I'll just abracadabra, you know? So that's why I don't like the bottom path of Spree Swarm. Now, if they made it to where you can actually enchant it, then I might actually consider going back to the bottom again, because it is good to take off certain traps off of your teammates and put a little nice aura around them. But at the end of the day, it's like, is it really worth it? You know, not to say that the top path is any better either, because maybe you don't want that minion to spawn in. But honestly, I would have to go with the top path better. I feel like if you go for the top path, you're getting a lot more versatility with it. Like, I feel like you're getting a lot more outgoing healing with it, right? Because it's not a divide spell. It's just a regular spell. You just click it, it heals all your teammates, and that's it. With this, you actually have to click on your teammates and figure it out in your head. But, again, it's all up to you. And that's where we're going to go into our next one, which Rebirth is, I don't know, man. It's the same thing like Spree Swarm, except this time, instead of, well, it still clears up to 5 traps, and for each trap that is, you know, removed, it places a plus 20% blade, and again, you can't enchant it, and this time it's actually up to a maximum of 4. So you can only put 4 of those rebirths in your deck. I just really wish you can enchant it, and like I said, the heal is split up. So, again, it is split up. Now, it says 2,280, but I know that cannot be right. I don't know. I have to look at that again. I don't know. Every time I've used the bottom path of Rebirth, I just feel like I'm not really getting much healing out of it. It's like, it feels like it's impossible to get a critical on it. Like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I highly recommend the top path. Because think about it like this, you can put a Radical on this, and that's automatically a burst of 1,000 healing. So, I don't know, It's up to you. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, you can try it out. I mean, there's no harm in trying it out in a couple battles because, like I said, you can reset your Spellements whenever you want. But for me, I wasn't vibing with it, and I tried to use it in the raids. Like, I tried to use it in the Dragonspire raid at Nullity, but by the time I even get enough pips to cast this spell, our team is already dead. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's not for me, man. It's not for me. If you want to do it and if you want to use it, go for it. I'm not gonna judge you, man. As long as you're keeping your teammates alive and helping them out, I don't know, man. It's just not for me, man. Going over from over here, this one's pretty interesting. I mean, honestly, I just go with the top path for regenerate. The bottom path is pretty good. It's kind of the same thing like the Pigsy bottom path, where you limit to 4 and it gives you 2 heal overtimes. But I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like the initial burst that you get from regenerate, because sometimes you'll have like a dead storm wizard, you'll use regenerate and it will heal a lot for the first initial burst, right? But I don't know, for the bottom path, it's good, I guess, maybe if you're in advanced content, but like I said, personally for me, I just kind of don't care for advanced content no more, If I were still doing raids and like advanced content, I would definitely do it, but like I don't know, man. I just don't like it anymore. I just don't like it anymore. And then that's pretty much it for the heals. I mean, you could also check out gnomes, which is pretty good. The bottom tier for gnomes is pretty interesting. You could do 725 damage and then a 810 heal overtime on yourself for 6 rounds. And that is basically per heal overtime that you already have on yourself. So you might combo it with that. I don't think you need to, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff. When it comes to the Spellements, it's really all up to your opinion on like what you want to do, I think Sacred Charge also has something interesting where it does a plus 20% outgoing heal for yourself for like 4 rounds. So again, there's a lot of interesting Spellements out there. I just can't really be bothered to really like farm for most of them. I don't know. It's just how I work. Now, spell wise and spell deck wise, again, you want to make sure you have Pigsy. Pigsy is like top tier healing spell. Of course, you always want to put in Radical and Primordial because you want to make sure you're getting the most amount of healing as possible. I would highly recommend training up Stun Block in case you're going up for any bosses that might stun you or do anything cheeky. And then, of course, any enchantments you have like Potent Trap, Sharpened Blade, Aegis, Indemnity, Radical, blah, 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 blah. The Fist are for when you're attacking, which I always have to do whenever I'm helping somebody out. Cycle of Life is pretty good as well. It increases your healing to plus 25%. And it also increases the amount of damage you take from death by 10%. And also gives you a 5% pip chance increase, which again is pretty cool. Brace is also good. It's a minus 20% to incoming spells for 4 rounds. There's a lot of unique spells that you can do whenever you're healing. Again, we got Rebirth, we got Regenerate, we got Spirit Swarm. I put Scion of Life here because, maybe one day it shall be unique, but honestly, this is probably the worst heal spell in the entire game. Like, literally, this is like, besides Celestial, no, even Celestial Intervention is way better than this. This is terrible. 11 pips just to heal 1 person, and it does double the amount if they have 25% HP or less. By the time they end up at 25% HP, they're going to be yelling at you to heal them. Trust me from a personal experience, don't use this spell. Unless you just want to see the pretty rainbows and stuff like that. Like, the animation is pretty cool if you meet the condition. But for 11 pips, you're going to have to, like, I don't know. You're just going to have to time it well. You can enchant it, though, which is nice. Which is ironic. You can enchant that, but you can't enchant, like, bottom tier of, like, Spirit Swarm and stuff like that. Oh, my goodness. Now, over here, we got Grendel's Amends. This is the bottom tier path, and it basically gives the target 2 525 absorb shields. I usually spam this a lot with Storm Wizards because y'all Storm Wizards be getting bullied, man. And then also I highly recommend Dark Surge, which is one of the latest new spells. You basically give it 2 power pips to an ally or yourself. You can give it to yourself, all for 1 shadow pip. So I highly recommend this. This is a really good one, especially if you're getting shadow pips very quickly. This can be good for, you know, giving to even Brandon, because remember, we had Brandon in our main deck because I love Brandon. He is awesome, and you can definitely like do a bunch of combos with him. So again, pretty interesting stuff. You know, there's a lot of interesting builds you can do. Of course, you got Daybreaker and Nightbringer, which is also pretty cool. It kind of helps you out with double casting in a single round. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So again, make sure to, you know, check it all out, see what you guys think about it. And overall, for me, this build is pretty fun. I mean, it feels like my ultimate build because we're not really worrying about that 5% pip chance anymore, because now it's at 100% universal, and I feel really comfortable doing 200% like outgoing healing. Like, I feel really comfortable doing that, and my resist is fine. I'm not really dying a lot at all. I feel pretty great, actually. So again, just a fun little heal build. Of course, it can definitely be improved, in which case that's where you guys come in. You guys can leave a comment on any gear pieces that you might need, and then if I check it out, you know, I'll check it out, I'll see if there's anything interesting about it. And remember, we gotta keep that 100% pip chance. I don't want to drop it to like 99%. Nope. No, we gotta keep it at the dot, man. But yeah, I will see you guys later, and hopefully this has encouraged you guys to also heal and help some players out. Until then, I will see you guys later. Peace out.